It's funny. I recently realized that I neglected to comment on Michael Gatton's visit, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, holy hell, what was I thinking? Because that was quite possibly one of my favorite things that happened, both at the Soviet conference and at probably can't hear me here, and at both at the Soviet conference. Let me just restate that. It was probably one of my favorite things to happen both at the Soviet conference and in the class as a whole when he came and visited. And I think that his economy activity was really very useful. And I mean, the thing that I think it was best about it is that it's not useful simply in a, you know, in terms of, well, this is how economy works, but I mean, take the metaphor literally. Talk about food as economy, because I mean, food is economy. Brilliant social studies. You could do it. You could adapt it for English. You could, I mean, science. It just a fascinating little bit of work. There's no question about that in my mind. And as usual, just a jaw-droppingly engaging speaker. Just amazing. Just amazing. And, well, I mean, I can hardly say enough. The guy's just amazing, and I love the Aboriginal perspective that he brings, because he brings it in a way that I don't think is usually brought. It's kind of, well, I mean, it's kind of the Indigenous way, this oral tradition, and I mean, he's so brilliant at at speaking, and he's. I think he's spiritual in a way, and it's funny that I like him that much, because I'm really very not, and you know, I'm gonna talk free about this, if you'll excuse me. I hope nothing offends you, and I hope it's not meant to offend anybody, but I am a fairly atheistic minded person, and I hesitate to say atheist because I'm a scientist too. I know I repeat that a lot, but I really am. I do come at things from a scientific thought, and so I'm not going to sit there and say there's definitely no God, but if there's a scale of 1 to 10 where 1 is there's definitely a God and 10 is there's definitely no God, I'm probably a 9.5. I don't see that it's a useful explanation for the world we see around us, for the natural world, and I don't feel that the supernatural adds anything to the discussion. In fact, I feel it takes away. And so to like Michael Gatton as much as I do, in light of my atheism and his spirituality, which I see more as a pantheistic spirituality, I guess, and maybe that's what it comes down to, and I might have to explain that term, but pantheism is kind of the idea that it's not supernatural per se, right? It's the idea that maybe nature in its entirety, nature taken as a whole, equals God. So God's not an entity. God is nature in its entirety. And I'm okay with that. If that's how people want to define their God, I'm actually good with that. And maybe I see Michael Gatton as his spirituality as being somewhat like that, because even though I say I'm not religious, and I'm not, in fact, I actually quite despise organized religion. I think it's done horrible things, both for the environment and just to society in general. And I mean, I know it's done good things too. Like I say, I'm not trying to make the argument here. I'm just trying to point out where I'm coming from here. I think organized religion, ironically, is morally empty. considering he professes morals, that's why I say ironically, but I don't find that it actually exercises a lot of morals. I'm not a religious man, but I think I am spiritual, not in a supernatural sense of spirituality, but I feel I'm spiritual in terms of the fact that I can wax poetically and philosophically about nature all day. Love nature, it's beautiful, and I can sit in a meadow and I can be completely engulfed in the moment, and I can, you know, I can sit there and I can think about what's going on around me for hours and hours and hours. So I'm spiritual in that sense, in that I certainly like to look at things beyond myself. And I certainly have almost a um, I'm not sure what the right word is here. They're all very religious, and like I say, I try and stay away from those types of things. But there's a well, we won't worry too much about that. And like I say, there's a 10-minute limit sort of on these videos, both for the amount I can upload and you know for what becomes useful talking anyways, because I find after 10 minutes I get so far off topic it doesn't matter. But anyways, I just find that I am spiritual when it comes to nature and things that are not supernatural. And in a lot of ways, when Michael Gatton's talking, he's waxing eloquently about the nature of things, not so much about the supernature of things. And even though I feel his spirituality and can even be moved by it as much as maybe a atheistic person can be moved by the idea of the supernatural, I guess I feel his spiritual message in a very supernatural way, not supernatural. I feel it in terms of what nature really is, and how nature really works. And I just think he's so eloquent on talking about the interconnections in nature, and these ideas of interconnectedness, and these ideas that he puts forth. They're extremely moving. He's an extremely motivating talker. He's somebody I sure hope that at some point in the future I can hear more from, because I find myself looking for more. There's another speaker who I heard do a talk on something called TED Talks. You can find it on the internet, but his name's Ken Robinson, and he's big in education. He's a big education guy, UK, and he's just such a brilliant speaker, and I get a lot of that from Michael Gatton, and in my opinion, it's no small thing to be compared in terms of oration skills to Ken Robinson. So hopefully that kind of gives a clue as to how much esteem I hold Michael Gatton in terms of a speaker. So